Was this around the time? So you're going to shows, you're listening to the music. You've got this core of friends like Gavin and the others. Is that when the bass kind of came in, like in terms of like you saw people and you were like, I want to do that kind of thing,
Yeah,
or okay, okay, and
yeah,
why the
yeah. And
bass?
that's almost yeah, it's almost verbatim. You know, Gavin and I, we kind of we were like, yeah, we should do a band. And we had never done a band or played music, and we're like, yeah, we should do a band. We could get in shows free. That was kind of like the first emphasis and the first like focal point. And it was, for me, watching Paul from MIA, and then also starting to see Dave Mello from Uniform Choice. MIA were they were punk, they were hardcore, but they were all really good musicians, and other stuff would sneak in, and catch your ear, and you would say like, yeah, that's, it's not just thrash, it's not just loud noise. There's other stuff in there, and it would stick with you, and it would, like in my case, it motivated me like, okay, maybe I could try bass.
And why that instrument though? Like, what was it about the bass as opposed to like the drums, the guitar, or even being a singer? What was that?
I had no desire to sing. I don't think I felt like I could pull off guitar, and despite that, bass is not the instrument that everybody is immediately attracted to. um, I noticed it.
Okay,
I noticed it, and it had its own distinct sound. And when you saw somebody who was really good, that you could tell, and you liked what they did. It wasn't boring. It wasn't run of the mill. It was something that made your ears perk up, and you saw that, and you heard that, and those, I would say, probably those two were the first big influences as to why I wanted to pick up bass.
so then how does out of this half off happen? Like when do you meet them and like Vadim, Billy, John? When does all that happen for you guys?
Half off started, and I'm not 100% sure, but it might have started like in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just starting to hear about them as we would go to these shows that were a little smaller than the big events, and they would have a lot of local bands. And Half Off, I remember seeing Half Off a couple times, and they had a demo out, and it was Vadim and Jim, Jeff Boetto, and then Tim, the singer. And that went on for a while, and probably about, I think maybe 1985. I met Billy, or maybe it was probably late '85, because I met Dan first, and then Dan introduced me to Billy, and and then Billy was doing like his Think fanzine and always at shows and taking photos, and then all of a sudden I found out that Half Off did a new demo tape, and Billy's the singer. And they started doing stuff, and I would go see them, and I was friends with Billy. And then eventually there was a point where Jeff was no longer part of the band, and Billy was like, hey, I hear John plays bass, maybe we could have him do it. So I tried, and it worked, and we did it.
And so were you on, because Half Off did, to my recollection, you guys did a 7-inch and you guys did a 12-inch. Was there any more? And were you on all those, all like the vinyl recordings?
On the 12-inch came out first, and
Mhm.
that's Who Writes Your Rules, and that was a combination. Jeff did some of the tracks, and I did some of the tracks that weren't done when Jeff's separation happened. Um, and then the 7-inch came out later, and that's me, and also Krishna Jain. He was part of the band at that time, and he was in the studio with us. Um, Also, from around that time, other stuff was recorded, and it was never really like intended for official release. But that's the I think that's the 7-inch that I think it was Fred Hammer put out,
Okay.
and it's kind of like this, uh, conglomeration of all this various stuff, and I'm on that too.
So when you go in, you join this band now. So now you've gone from being a guy who likes the music, through your friendship with Gavin, to a guy going to shows, to a guy that's like, which is what we love about this music, is you go to the shows and you're like, hey, if you really want to play in a band and you're willing to take the time to learn the instrument or sing or whatever, it's very accessible, which is, I know what drew me to it. Um, and it sounds like that you were in the same boat. But like, what was it like then? You're now in the studio recording with a band that you already were a fan of. Like, were you like, like just completely stoked, or was it more like, hey, these guys are my friends, and I'm stoked to just, I'm now with my friends doing this band.
Uh, it wasn't, that's kind of odd because it's making me think about it, and it was more the way I looked at it was uh, this is my assignment, and this is my job. And these guys, I'm here to, play bass. And yeah, I'm part of the band, but I'm focused, that I gotta do this and, do it right. And it was great to be in the band because all of a sudden, back to, square one, I'm getting into shows for free, and we're playing shows with some of my favorite bands, and we're having opportunities to interact and perform live, and people like it, because we all want to be liked, and um, it was a great again a great experience because all those positives were happening.
And when you're in that band, one of the things that also kind of strikes me, especially about Half Off, and I feel this way also about a lot of dance stuff, the content of what you guys were like, of what Billy was singing about. Like, was that something that you thought about? Was there like a lot of collaboration in that, or like did everyone kind of stay sort of in their role of I'm the bass player, Billy's going to write the lyrics? Did you happen to have any hand in any of that lyrical content?
uh Not not so much in lyrics. Billy was very self-sufficient and always had plenty of ideas, and he would tell us what the songs were about or what their meaning was, and the band would for the most part I think agree, and say, oh yeah, that sounds good, or yeah, um and myself, Jim, and Vadim, and also Billy were I think we were just always focused on doing more, more stuff that's better, stuff that hopefully eclipsed the last stuff we did. And the band, uh, the sounds and the music and the ability was just growing by leaps and bounds. In 1985, there's a demo, with a buzzsaw guitar and these, super fast thrash drums. And, by 86, 87. There's more complex, music. And Jim was really good about just, absorbing the influences around him and being able to take those and do something of his own with it.